We're doing a mailbag. It's been a while. Do we care who comes out of the Western Conference Finals? Is the NBA rooting against Boston? We talk about Kristaps Porzingis returning and me playing in a media pickup game right now on the Locked On Celtics podcast.
Thanks to Blockbuster brand, it's holiday season. Drop Drew in the mix, and 3 from KP. No, we not on the Knicks. Flushing competition like Al on Giannis. Juice and Big Juice, still Beantown's finest. Banner 18 going up in the rafters. Watch the C's game in Locked On after. Karalis on the breakdown, clutch like a tip from D. White on the breakdown. John on the mic, documenting domination. Matter pen a back bay, it's all C's nation. Rain and J's, how we started, raising business, how we finish. Locked On Celtics pod, home of the winners. Peace.
Hey there, welcome back to the Locked On Celtics podcast, right here in the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day, and I got you covered every single day, Monday through Friday, plus bonus podcasts on the weekends as warranted when they play, or maybe something happened. Whatever it is, I got you covered. I'm John Karalis. Used to play a long time ago. Now I'm covering the Celtics for Boston Sports Journal. I'm asking you to please subscribe. Get into that comment section on the YouTube page. Ring the bell there. Get notified when I drop new videos. Today, I'm opening up the mailbag, and this mailbag episode is sponsored by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 with any winning $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. Later on, a video has come out of a few of the beat writers getting together in Indy to play basketball. And I am not heavily featured in that video. So I'll explain all of that stuff. We'll talk about Sam Hauser. We'll talk about Kristaps Porzingis. We'll talk about the NBA and its whether they're rooting against the Boston Celtics. But let's get into our first question here about the choices in the Western Conference Finals. Do we care? How about the Celtics? Do the Celtics care? Do they hope it goes 7? Does the coaching staff hope it ends at a certain time? Does Porzingis want to play against the Dallas Mavericks? Now, I don't know. I'm sure Porzingis would love, although he hasn't said anything. And frankly, he hasn't been available to the media much. So, I had an opportunity if I thought of it to ask, but I was more interested when he walked into the media dining area before game 3 of the Eastern Conference Finals in Indy. So it's game 3. We're sitting there. All of a sudden, Kristaps Porzingis walks in. We're like, what the hell? And so I was more interested in cracking jokes. Like he sat down. I'm like, hey, buddy, you got to pay. We all paid $11. You got to pay. And he looks over. He's like, oh, yeah, I paid. So we're like busting balls more than anything. Maybe I could have taken the opportunity to pull out the recorder and be like, hey, well, since we got you here, let's ask you some questions. But it was more of like a fun moment and interesting kind of that he was in there eating the stuff that we had. Now, the food's not bad in India. I'll be honest with you. It was pretty cool. But I didn't get a chance to ask him at that point if he cares about playing the Dallas Mavericks. I'm sure he does. The coaching staff doesn't care when it ends because there's one coach that's been preparing for the Dallas Mavericks. There's one coach that prepares for the Minnesota Timberwolves. And when it's official, the coach that has the winning scout gets to present his scout. And the coach that had the losing team scout burns everything that he did. Doesn't matter. It's all gone. So they probably save it. They probably have it saved somewhere. And there will always be use for it. But one coach on the Celtic staff is doing a lot of work that will not be used for the NBA Finals. So that's how that works. And do the Celtics care? I don't know that the Celtics care quite as much, but I'm sure everybody wouldn't mind if it goes 7 games. They'll tell us we don't care. And I don't think that they're actively rooting, sitting there being like, oh, man, I can't believe Dallas closed it out. The Celtics are worried about themselves. And hey, if Dallas goes 7 and they only get 2 days to prepare, great. But if they don't, who cares? They're not going to spend mental energy on that. So the Celtics don't care. I can care. I can be there like, yeah, go 7. Come on, Timberwolves. Let's go. Let's push it. And I do hope it goes 7. I do hope the Timberwolves put a scare into Dallas. I don't care, honestly, who comes out. I'm approaching it as if it's Dallas. But as far as the Celtics go, that's what I think. That question comes from Andrew, by the way. Paolo asks about the Mavs offense. They've been kept to an average of 106 points through 4 games. And he asks, wouldn't this be great for us? Aren't they actually being better than the Wolves defensively? Will they really be able to keep the Celtics from scoring more than 110 a game, even with half of KP? If the Mavs are, it's kind of similar to the Pacers. If you can hold the Mavs to, if it's 106 or less, love the Celtics' chances in this. If the Mavs average 106, I'm willing to bet the Celtics win this easier than people will think. So if the Mavs, even if the Celtics can hold the Mavs to 106 or less in the series, this might be a 5-game series. If I'm not saying they will, and I've got to get into more analysis. I got to get into more digging, and I think the Celtics are going to win. I really do feel like, by the way, that this could be an easier than expected series, but I don't know. I'm not ready to go 100% there yet. But if the Celtics can hold the Mavericks to 106 or less, I don't think the Mavs, as well as their defense is playing, I don't think that they're going to hold Boston to less than 106. I don't think the Boston offense against the Mavs defense, again, credit to the Mavs defense. They're playing well, but with obvious places to attack, I feel like the Celtics can, I've said it on the podcast before, I'll say it again. This is going to be a very 3-point heavy offense for the Celtics. There's going to be a lot of driving kicks and corner 3-pointers. The Mavs are allowing almost 11 corner 3-pointers per game here against, I think, throughout the course of the playoffs. So there's going to be a lot of opportunity for Boston to score. You cannot give Boston 11 corner threes because they're going to hit like 5 or 6 of those. And that doesn't even get to the above the break threes that they love to take and that they're pretty good at. So if you're going to allow 5 or 6 corner 3-pointers, then if Boston hits 12, 13, 14 above the break threes, because they're going to get a lot of those, now you're at Celtics scoring 120 something. So it's going to be tough for the Mavs if that's how this goes. Chris asks, he said, well, here's the setup. He got an email from the NBA that said, in Eastern Conference ravaged by injuries, Celtics cruise to NBA Finals. And now the setup to the question is, this is the NBA. The league is pushing this. So he asks, do you think the league itself is actively rooting against and campaigning against the Celtics? So the short answer is no. You have to understand that because the NBA umbrella has like various arms, this is a marketing team. This is a creative team. This is not Adam Silver going, make sure you disrespect the Celtics and really highlight how easy their path was. This I think, I don't honestly think that that's an unfair headline. The Celtics did go through an Eastern Conference that was ravaged by injuries. I don't think that's inaccurate. And the Celtics cruised to the NBA Finals. That's not inaccurate. I don't think any of that stuff is. I don't think there's really anything wrong with that. First of all, there's two things we got to understand. There's the notion that they didn't play anyone. That's not true that they didn't play anyone. You got to respect the opponent, but also you do have to accept that, well, yeah, certain things did make each series easier. No one's denying that it made the series easier. It's that, who cares? Who cares if it made the series easier? Yeah. Would it have been harder to beat Miami with Jimmy Butler? Yes. Would it have been harder to beat the Cavs with a fully healthy Donovan Mitchell? Yes. That would have been more difficult. If Tyrese Halliburton, if Benedict Mathurin was healthy. But look, the Celtics were also missing Kristaps Porzingis. So it's okay. It's okay to be like, yeah, some of that was easier. Congratulations, Boston. You benefited from the luck. I don't see what's wrong with that. Now, if the media talking heads want to take that and run with that, that's up to them. And it's up to us to be like, you know what? I'm not paying attention to people taking the factual stuff that I just said and turning it into something they hold against the Celtics. Like, that's the part. Like, you shouldn't hold it against the Celtics. That's where we cross the line. But is the NBA actively rooting and campaigning against the Celtics? No. The Boston Celtics are a legacy cornerstone franchise. The Boston is the biggest TV market left, and Celtics fans exist everywhere. The NBA would, if you told the NBA either Boston or the Lakers are going to be in the finals like every year, they'd be happy to have that. They want Boston in there. Do they prefer New York? I mean, yeah, it's a bigger TV market. Do they prefer Boston over Indiana? Hell yes, they do. Hell yes, they do. And so the the Celtics make the league money. The Celtics make the NBA a lot of money. So if we've learned anything from the NBA and how they work, you mess with their money, they get mad. The Celtics make the NBA money, so they're happy when the Celtics are in the playoffs and in the conference finals. Let's talk about this specific matchup, a question about specifically about the Mavs, Sam Hauser and Kristaps Porzingis. That is all coming up next. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. It's America's #1 sports book because they are taking advantage of these NBA and NHL finals, and they're giving you, a new customer, a chance to get $150 in bonus bets. All you have to do is place a $5 bet that wins. So here's what you do. You go to FanDuel.com/locked-on. You sign up. You make a bet for just $5. And when it wins, you get $150 in bonus bets. Now you can bet that on anything you want: spreads, money lines, player props. It's all right there at America's #1 sports book. So go check it out there at FanDuel.com/locked-on. Go ahead and place your bets. Use the tools. They have those tools. They're readily available. Those pop up all the time. Set your limits. They want you to gamble responsibly. Set your limits. Set your budget. Know what you can spend and know what you can't, just like anything else. FanDuel will help you do that. FanDuel will help you gamble responsibly. And you go ahead and have some fun at FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Thanks for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. Go check out Locked On Sports today, streaming 24/7. It's on YouTube. It's on Amazon Fire TV channels app. That's free. It's all free. It's all day, every day, Monday through Friday, Monday, Saturday, Sunday. It's 24/7. It's everywhere. It's all our major shows. It's all the shows of relevance, like the Locked On Celtics podcast, and it's streaming all the time. So put it on when you're bored, leave it on in the background, and have some fun listening to people people who know what they're talking about, talk about sports. That's what you want, not the people yelling at each other and making fake arguments. Let's get back to the mailbag. Person who just says, get that ball. If the Celtics face the Mavericks, how important is it for the Celtics defense to limit the corner threes? Well, Luka is the best in the game at generating those corner threes because he finds his way to the rim. He's an insane passer. He finds guys where he's supposed to find them, and they generally do hit those shots. So that is a big focus for the Celtics. It's going to be a tough defensive assignment for the Celtics. So it's going to be the approach to limiting those corner threes. It's going to be interesting because do you go into drop coverage and entice them to take mid-range shots? Do you just live with Luka and Kyrie making shots from the mid-range and not hitting three-pointers and not finding three-point shooters? Do you just do that and hope you can win the 3-for-2 math and say, I don't care if it goes 7. We feel good about winning 4 out of 7 games, trying to get that 3-for-2 math. And going against a Mavs team that doesn't allow a lot at the rim, but does allow a lot at the 3-point line, the corner 3-pointers. So the Celtics could play that game. Limiting the Mavs corner 3-pointers just in general is a priority, and the Celtics are the best in the league at that. They are the best at limiting what the opponent can do from beyond the 3-point line. And it's because they take away the corner threes. They're great at that, and they push everything to above the break threes, and they're really good at funneling those 3-point shots to players you feel comfortable taking those shots. So that's something that the Celtics are going to be kind of pushing for. And if Luka does find people in the corner, you got to make sure that you're getting out there and you're forcing the swings up to maybe somebody who doesn't want to take that shot, and anybody who does take that shot's got to be contested. So that's a big deal for the Celtics, no doubt. Aiden asks about Porzingis, and he says, even if he is still not 100% in the finals, should they try, it's phrased, rush him back? I don't think it's a rushing back thing. Now, Porzingis has been out there on social media and has said that he's making progress. Joe Mazzulla on the radio said that he's doing work on the court. So I don't know that he's scrimmaging yet, but as soon as he does scrimmage, then he's up there as far as probably questionable. There's a lot of time here. If he hasn't started scrimmaging yet, that means he's not 100%. The Celtics might just try a game 1 without him to see, can they still do what they need to do and beat the Mavs without Porzingis. They might, but I've been on record as saying when he's 100% healthy, he should play. Now, if he's not 100%, if he's close, this might be a situation where they're like, if he's, let's just pull a number out of thin air, 90%. And you say, it's just a calf strain. There is a risk. We'll put the kinesio tape on it and we'll do what we can. He might be a little more limited, but he's going to be out there, and he's just not going to get to 100%. If they tell Mazzulla and Brad Stevens he's not going to get to 100%, he's at about 90%, there's still a little soreness, we can do what we can, but this is the best he's going to be, then maybe they throw him out there. If there is an assurance, and if Porzingis is on board and they say, hey, look, there is a risk of re-injury, but like we feel like we can kind of just keep it. We're just going to limit you. We'll tape it up, do however we need to do it. Maybe they do bring him back. This is a little bit of a different story. You just need 4 wins. You just need him to get out there. And hey, you tell him, if you feel any tug, any pull, anything, you just come right back out. Okay? Maybe if he isn't 100%, that's what they do. I happen to believe that he's going to get to 100%. But they're not going to, I don't think they're going to risk a long-term injury. They're certainly not going to risk an Achilles injury. So it's just kind of up to him and up to them, and they'll figure out if it's not 100%, how far are they willing to go. It's possible. Before we go to the break, Gavi asks about Sam Hauser, and they were wondering if Sam would get playoff minutes, and he did. He's but he's not shooting well. What's up with his 3-point shooting? I'm shocked at how bad it's been. He hit 1 3-pointer in the entire conference finals. Now, he did do some other things, and so it wasn't that he was unplayable, but he has to do other things to be playable in that situation. They need him to start hitting threes, and you just got to trust that he's going to. the thing about the Mavs is they don't play quite as frantically and as fast as the Pacers. So I believe that the speed was just killing Sam Hauser. And I don't think he's gotten the same whistle as everybody else. So I think he's frustrated by some of the calls he's getting. And I think that's all kind of conspiring to mess with his 3-point shot. And I feel like the Mavs play slower and he might not, even if he gets picked on, it might not be as bad as the Pacers because the speed is going to be a little bit different. Now you don't want Luka switched onto him. That could be a little bit of a different story. I don't know. I feel like Sam Hauser has a little bit of a breakout coming. Maybe it's the gambler's fallacy that he's due, but he's too good a shooter to be this cold for this long. So if the speed of the game slows down a little bit and the Celtics can collapse the defense and drive and kick, and he's the guy getting the corner threes, I feel like he's going to start hitting those. So it's, when it comes to 3-point shooting, it's just mental. A lot of that is just mental. And if your confidence is shot, then that's a problem. And I feel like his confidence is taking a hit, and he's just got to get back into it. Just got to hit a couple and trust it, and he'll be fine. I do think there's a turnaround coming for him. All right, we'll come back. We'll talk about the two-way players. We'll talk about celebrating Jaylen Brown in a way that he hasn't been celebrated yet. And of course, me playing pickup basketball with other members of the media. That is all coming up next. Let's get back to Todd here, who asks, do the two-way players, Davison and Peterson, receive a championship ring? And what are their chances to either crack the lineup next year? Yes, they get rings. Yes, they do get rings. And, they're there. They're on the sidelines. They're in the celebration. They're in the locker rooms. They can't sit on the bench, so they get seats like near the bench, but that's been nice. They're there. They're included in everything. So very nice that the Celtics are including them in all of that stuff. So they will get rings. Do they crack the lineup next year? Davison, I don't know. I'm not seeing it. Peterson, he'll get a chance. He'll get a chance to prove himself. I'm gonna say like crack the rotations, probably not, but who knows? I mean, they brought him in for a reason, and we'll see. We'll see. I think Davison's career with Boston has run its course. I could be wrong, but I think it's run its course. Peterson will get a chance in training camp, and then we'll see where it goes from there. Tim asks, while we're celebrating all things Jaylen Brown, could you talk about the most underrated part of his game? You have a fine beard. I have an old beard, but Jaylen has beard game that is streets ahead. How does he get it looking so good? Inquiring minds want to know. Now, I have not asked Jaylen Brown about his beard, but that thing is glorious and very well kept. It's not a James Harden beard. And I honestly, I don't know how you play with a big beard like that. Feels like it would be a lot, but it looks, I'm gonna, just from having had a beard that was big and bushy, there's a lot of products. You gotta care for that thing. You maybe try a little conditioner. There are a number of products that you can put in there. I can tell you from all the promotional pictures that I've seen of him, like look at the promotional pictures of him in the playoffs and all of that. That beard is glistening. It is well shaped. It is just well cared for. When you sign the richest contract in NBA history, you can afford some pretty high level beard products. But I agree that Jaylen's beard game is on point. All right, let's get into the real fun here. King Kahuna says, do you still play? Yes. Do you still play pickup basketball? Heard the Celtics media guys and gals got together to play. Who's the best media pickup player in your opinion? He also asks, if the Celtics win the championship, are you planning on attending the parade? And do you have a preference in the city getting to the NBA Finals? Lots of questions. I prefer Dallas. I've been to Dallas plenty. Nice city. I've never been to Minneapolis, but I'm not upset that I'm going to be going to Dallas, presumably. I do plan on attending the parade. I will be covering the parade. I don't know if the Celtics will have a media parade boat. The Patriots did. And I'm just wondering if a boat at the end of the parade will just be like Boston Celtics media and we get to ride on the back. And I think it would be, first of all, it'd be cool. I would love to do it. I will actively campaign on the podcast for a duck boat specifically for the beat writers. We've been there. We've been at all, most of these road games, and I would love to do it. I think it would be super cool. Secondly, I think writing the story of the parade from the perspective of seeing what the players see is important. Like, I think it would be cool to write the story and have parts of the podcast be from a duck boat. So one way or the other, I will be there covering the parade. The question is how? All right, let's get to the pickup stuff. And I'll fold in Zach's question, who says, John, I watched the Celtics beat pickup game. They're calling you John Tony Snell Karalis in the comment section because there wasn't one stat shown. What happened out there? I refuse to believe the big dog didn't eat. I'm happy to report that the big dog did eat. It's just that the video started rolling. The whole story is there's a group of the younger bloggers that are pushing for these media games, and led by Noah Dalzell. I've never met a more basketball obsessed person in my life. She's just obsessed with the game of basketball. So she's been pushing for these games. We played in Cleveland and we played luckily indoor in Indy. And so we played some 3-on-3 and I was there. One of the Celtics media relations people was there and Jay King was there. And we played some 3-on-3. And in the early 3-on-3, I will say I had my best performances. Now, when the camera showed up and the CLNS guys like Bobby Manning showed up, that was the end. And we started to go 4-on-4. And I had like 2 games where I had to guard Jay King in the perimeter. Now, let me explain something to people. I am almost 51 years old. I am I'll say 260 pounds. And I might be on the generous side there. When I played basketball at this point, 30 years ago, I played at 220. So I am old and I am out of shape. Jay King is in his mid-30s and he's good. He's a good shooter. He can take me off the dribble now. I can't deny that at this point in my life, I cannot guard Jay King on the perimeter effectively, especially not after having played 3 or 4 games of half court 3-on-3, which is really not that strenuous. But for me, let me tell you something, strenuous. So to say my best basketball is behind me is an understatement. It's well behind me. There's a reason why at the top of the show I say I played a long time ago, because it was a long time ago. I never ever claim that I'm still any great basketball player. I used to be pretty good. Now I'm not very good at all because I'm fat and I'm 50. But I will say, and look, all of these people were there. You can tweet at them and ask. They were all Noah, Justin Turpin was there. Both Bobbies were there. You can see the video. All Jay King, tweet Jay King and ask him. He'll tell you. I can still strap on the dancing shoes in the post every once in a while. I can still cook a little bit in the post. I just don't have a whole lot of gas in the tank. But I did cook before the cameras got there, unfortunately for me. The last thing I will say, if you do, Zach, watch that video, because I went and found the video. I saw it. Don't call me Tony Snell because I didn't have any stats. There is a jumper. I hit a jumper in there, and Justin gives me a pass in the post and then cuts down the middle. I don't see, how did people not realize the pass that I made out of the post to a cutter coming down the middle? That pass is a great pass. So go look at that again and see the pass that I made out of the post, because from that camera angle, my back is to the camera and that ball just comes out of nowhere and it's there for a layup and one. That was a pass that I delivered out of the post. One thing I can still do, even at 50 and even as a fat guy, you give it to me in the post, I will find you if you're open. I can still pass the hell out of the ball. That I can do. I just can't jump. I can't move. Can't slide. Can't do any of that stuff anymore. If I'm not hitting fadeaway jumpers, I'm trash at this point. And that's the reality of how it is, But go tweet at them if you want to know the whole story. But it was fun. I enjoy the fact that they asked me to go. I don't know if I'm going to be able to play again because I got a whole lot of fluid in my right knee now. So that's what happens when you're fat and 50 and you don't play a whole lot of basketball. Fluid builds up in your knee when you play a little 3-on-3 basketball. So that's probably done. I don't know if I'm going to be picking up a basketball in Dallas. I'll just meet them for beers afterwards. That's going to be how it goes. You don't get up to 260 by not having a couple of beers after you play ball. So thanks everybody for the questions. I appreciate it. JohnKaralis.com/mailbag. I don't know how many of these I'll do, but I might squeeze one in, one more maybe before the playoffs, the finals roll around, because the finals are not till next Thursday. So I could probably get one more mailbag in, especially after we know if the Dallas Mavericks make it official or if it's going to be the Timberwolves somehow miraculously. But JohnKaralis.com/mailbag to get your questions in. And then I'll see if I can squeeze in one more mailbag. And then they'll become a regular thing in the postseason for sure. So subscribe if you're new to the show. Welcome aboard. Thank you. If you are a regular listener, I hope you're subscribing to the YouTube page. Get in the comment section. Let me know what you're thinking there. And I would love it if you share the podcast, spread the word, tell everybody they should be listening to and watching the Locked On Celtics podcast right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day.